Oh, hello everybody. The computer tells me we're live. I have my mouse here next to me. But we're not gonna trust it fully. We're gonna ask like, how's everybody? Can you guys hear me? And if you do so, please leave a comment in the chat so that I can see and I can know. In the meantime, I'm preparing my painting, and this is something I did yesterday. I was just doodling around and I just wanted to do some pots with some succulents, so I'm just going to put it on the board. The reason why I'm doing it is to prevent any weird warping, and I'm not going to even do all the sides. I'm just going to do the top and bottom. So hi, you do hear, but put the microphone closer. Okay, I forgot that I actually didn't have the microphone any closer. Okay, can you hear now better? Is it better now? I forgot about the microphone. I'm so sorry. This feels so weird. Like I just grabbed the microphone closer. By the way, if you're wondering what's up with Claudia and why nothing is happening, I just woke up because I was actually very sleepy when I came back. Actually, I met for the first time in more than a year with some of my colleagues today from work, and I actually went to work today. And for some reason, going to the office is like super heavy on the mind and on the body. It's probably because I'm not used to actually meeting with people anymore. So, yeah, that's why. So, anyway, this is my take on the succulents. And by the way, I just wanted to go back to succulents because I really like them, and I think the last time I did them was on a potion, but I didn't do this type of succulent. So I wanted two pots, one in front of the other. One is going to be smaller, and you can notice what I did here with the plants. They, the leaves go in the back and in the front, and I really like this effect, right? I mean, this is just a normal one, and this is like one of those with like the big leaves. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. We're gonna do some nice, I wanted to try to do some nice gradients onto the pots, and maybe some nice gold flakes, but let's see. This is quite a simple one. I think I have a lot more that I need to color in, but I was like, okay, let's do this. I'm using my number 4 and my number 2. Actually, I'm not even sure if I'm going to use my number 2, but my number 4 is Escoda Versatil. It's very quickly became my favorite one. And by the way, I'm using my big Daniel Smith palette. You can notice that it's very much loved and very much used. A lot of the colors I used a lot. You can see. So this is the palette that I use really a lot. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some insight in what I'm doing. And by the way, hello Marlena. You're again the first one that writes a comment. And hello Johan. So hopefully everybody is enjoying right now, and we're gonna start. This succulent is gonna be like really maybe nice greens, I would say, and maybe a little bit of reds here and there. And this I want to do some sort of kind of like green bluish with purple in the front. Okay, so we're just gonna try this coloring. So okay, let's do this one with the rich green gold, because I really like this color, rich green gold, and the undersea green. So let's see how that goes. Okay. By the way, I'm doing wet on dry. I very rarely do wet on wet techniques. Wet on techniques really go well when you have like a background or a large area where you want to do some really weird nice blendings and so on. But when you're doing like this kind of illustrative style, wet on wet doesn't really work, because it's not the the type of painting that I'm going for. Okay, so I'm usually just doing wet on dry, and then I'm always going back and forward with a brush. I'm adding more water and spreading the color around. Sometimes I'm adding too much water, but you know, we'll get used to it. Yeah, so let me tell you what happened. I went today, I went to Amsterdam. I saw some of my colleagues that I haven't seen in a very long time. We decided to just meet in front of the office. Some of them can go into the office because, you know, it kind of is open now, but not for everybody because they have limited spaces, you know, because of the situation. So, you know, only the people that really needed to be in the office are allowed in the office. And by needed to be is, you know, people that maybe have become a bit more depressed with the living alone situation and so on. So anyway, we just met outside the office, and then we actually had a walk. It's not nice weather. It's actually pretty much raining, but hey, it was nice. And then we went to a restaurant where on a terrace we were actually allowed to sit, and we had some food. And you know, chatted away. It's so fun to actually meet with your colleagues after so long, because none of us really know anymore how to behave with real life people. And yeah, it was fun to see them, and to meet with them. And afterwards we just went back home. So we were just a couple of hours. But this is in Amsterdam, so it was pretty nice. The road there was not that bad. We majority of us took public transport, but the problem with it's not a problem with the public transport. It's actually quite good, but it's not really that crowded because not a lot of people, you know, are still traveling, or maybe they decide to travel with their own transportation. So actually, the trains and everything were quite quiet. I got the funny part is, I got get into the crazy train and metro schedule, because you know, there's no direct trains where I have to go, so I have to change to a metro. And again, the metro was a tiny little bit out of schedule, so I missed one metro by not even half a minute. I mean, when I went up the stairs, the metro was leaving, so I had to wait like another 10 minutes for the next metro towards Central Station. For whoever knows, it's a metro to Central, Amsterdam Central. But you know, in the end we reached there, so that's okay. It was quite fun, I would say. Talked a lot, chatted a lot. I think I missed this part of talking to people and meeting people. It's always like that. It's been a long time. So yeah, we cannot wait till the office is probably fully open. I do not foresee that to happen until September. I think people just want to see what's happening and if it's safe to open, to be honest. Because last year also they opened everything and then they had to close it down because the numbers went a little bit up. So they just gonna wait and see. So for now it's going okay, but I guess they wanna wait a month and then see what's happening. It doesn't mean that we cannot meet outside of work or, you know, on the outside. Yeah, majority of us put on weight, okay? Let's be very clear. I haven't seen these people in more than a year, so we all gain weight. We are comparing bellies and so on. It seems to go like this. When you don't see people and you don't have the, I'm not saying the judgmental eyes, but it was always like somebody was always doing a diet at work or something, and then you feel bad and then you try to eat healthy and so on. But when you're alone at home, nobody's going to actually keep you accountable for your weight or for anything. So, you know, that's how things go. Yeah. So maybe that's something, because one of my colleagues actually asked me, they wanted to buy something for their girlfriend, like a starter watercolor kit, and he was asking me for, you know, hey, what, you know, what is a good starter kit, or a good, you know, nice part. So I will go from the beginning. Never ever compromise on paper. You can get away with a cheaper set of watercolors, right? But never skimp on the paper. The paper is the most important one. So if I were to tell somebody to start with something, I will tell them start with either Arches watercolor paper or Stonehenge watercolor paper. Even Fabriano works, but it needs to be 100% cotton, okay? Don't skimp on that. Like everything that you do, it's going to be much easier if you have cotton watercolor paper, even with all the other supplies being super cheap. Trust me. And then as a good watercolor set, it could be something that is not too chalky. So maybe not super, like not a Daniel Smith set. I mean, that's quite expensive, but I would say Mijello Mission Gold as a starting set is very good. The holbein as a starting set is really super good. Really quality watercolors, and you can get that up, you know, until like a Mijello Mission Gold of 36 watercolors can be 60 euros, and a holbein, like especially if you buy it from the Amazon Japan, it's also around 60 euros. So you know, instead of spending 30 euros on a really cheap set, I would spend more, maybe 60, and then get a good set, right? There's also the starter Winsor and Newton sets, which could be on the same price range. The only problem I have with those is that usually for the 30 euros or the, you know, 60 euros, then you don't get that many colors, you know, then you only get like the 12 colors or something. So yeah, if you want a bit of a spread, right, then try that one. And this will get somebody started really well. These brushes are not that expensive. The Escoda Versatil, I think I paid 6 euros per brush. So don't buy the 1 euro. Those ones kind of disintegrate on contact, but you don't have to go really crazy on the brushes. Like I have some expensive brushes that have cost me like maybe 30 euros per brush. I don't think you need to go that way, but you know, stay away from the 1 euro ones. Go for the 6 euros is a good price for a brush, and these Escoda brushes are really good. Like if you're going for like the real thing, like even the silver brushes and so on, those are really expensive, like the 20 euro kind of range. I don't think you really need that. I think you can get away with a really nice pointed round brush. And a number 4 and a number 6 are very good, and then buy a number 2 for details, and I don't think you need more than that, okay? I wouldn't need a number 8. I very rarely use number 8s. I mean, only if you want to do landscapes and so on, then you would go for a bigger a bigger brush, but number 4 brush, I think you can use it for everything, man. So this is like my most used brush, and even the number 6 is very good. And yeah, that's about it. Dum dum dum. So yeah, if that was my advice, at least that was my advice, was to go with that. And you know, maybe that's not for the budget of everybody. Maybe you're saying, well, that's too expensive, Claudia, but you know, do you want to give a gift to somebody that will get frustrated because, you know, they got some really chalky paints and they can't make them work? I think you want to avoid that, to be honest. You want to really avoid that. And you should do something so that, you know, they actually enjoy it. If I would know now what I know now, I wouldn't have bought the koi watercolors or the other Japanese watercolors. Those are actually, they're very good colors, right? But they're very chalky and they're more in the line of gouache, actually, to be honest. And you cannot do many layers with them. They're nice for like landscaping and stuff, but like these kind of delicate things, you really need transparent watercolors. And those Japanese ones, although you think, oh, but then I paid 30 euros and I get many colors, they're nice, but it really depends on the technique you want to use. And if you just want somebody to start with something, it's better not to give them something that requires a special technique to use, right? Because even I don't use those ones because they are very difficult to use. They get really nice results, don't get me wrong. Like if you learn how to use them, you will get really a lot of results. But are you want to get somebody into watercolor, or are you want to get them frustrated to actually use the supplies? So I would say don't frustrate people, please. Think about what they want. So I would then better wait for a little bit till you put some maybe more money aside than to actually hurry and just buy something that maybe that person is gonna get frustrated on. Okay. I don't think they need cups or anything. I mean, I do have just some glasses that I use. I mean, that's fine. You don't need a palette. I mean, usually when you buy, just majority come with their own palette like this, or just buy a tiny palette. So yeah, you don't need a lot of those extras, you know. By the way, I'm just gonna use some nice red now, just to add in some of these ones, just make it pop a bit. And I'm using the Berlin Maroon. Let's see how that goes. And I'm gonna go now with water, and I'm gonna spread it around. I only really need it a little bit. I just wanted to give it a little bit of oomph here, but I don't need it to be super red or anything. Okay. Other than that, that was kind of it. I want to make some videos to show all my palettes, and I'm going to show you the reality of it. The reality of it, I only have 3 main palettes that I use and 3 main watercolor brands, and all the rest I bought them. They're nice, right? But I very rarely use them, and I seem to, you know, I don't want them to get broke or anything because I'm not using them. But sincerely, you won't have time to use all of that, and it's better to just stick to one or two instead of spending all your money on sets that maybe don't fit your style. So, you know, think very careful what your style is, what you're gonna do, what you're gonna use, and then decide. Like if you wanna do illustrative stuff, like what I do, right, like an illustrative style, then you really need transparent watercolors. And then like I said, I wouldn't go with the cheaper sets that are very chalky. That's gonna frustrate you more and more. I would just go with a good brand that are very transparent. And then if you want to do landscaping and stuff, then you can get away with the more chalky colors, because anyway, for landscapes and so on, you have to dilute them a lot. And when you do landscaping, you don't necessarily do that many layers. You don't do glazing. So those are okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These are kind of first layers of everything. And now I have to think very hard for some blue-green. I'm going to mix. I have a well here. I'm going to mix some water, and I'm going to mix some green, and maybe I'll do this green, which is actually Hooker's green. Oh, I know, weird name, right? Hooker's green. Who came up with this green, man? So maybe I should show you. So I'm mixing here Hooker's green, and I'm gonna mix quite a bit of it. I want a big puddle because I'm sure that this is gonna require a lot of color. So, and then I'm gonna add blue, and the blue I'm gonna use is going to be cerulean blue. Okay, I know it's very bright blue, but it's okay. So it immediately changes a bit the green that we have, and I actually think I want it even more blue than this. So I'm gonna use some more cerulean blue. Yeah, that's a good one. And then I'm going to add more blue and more purple when we reach that. But for now, I think it's a good blue-green. So let's get started. I'm gonna add purple afterwards, so that's gonna be nice. Okay. I'm gonna spread the color around, so you can notice that this is really a blue-green color. It's really nice. And like whenever I usually don't do this mixing on the palette, but when I have to make this kind of blue greens, that's when I'm doing it, like when I'm creating. And what I'm doing is I'm creating like a really big puddle. So yeah, I don't want to run out of color, because usually when you mix a second time, you're not going to have the same ratio, and then you might make it a bit weird. So you want to have a big puddle from the beginning, just to, you know, have everything working correctly. So yeah, this is gonna have a nice contrast with this one. This is really warm, and this is gonna be super blue. And then I'm gonna add some more, even some more blue, and then some purple at the end. I'm noticing I really need to change my brush. So the Escoda Versatil I got, so I paid €6 and I got it last year. Okay, and I've been painting with it almost every day, so it lasted me a very long time. But this is the problem with the cheaper brushes, is that it doesn't last you forever, right? So you do have to change it. But still, for €6, I think it's a good price for something that lasted me since last year. Okay, so I'm not too worried about it, and I know I'm going to have to change it. But yeah, should you buy a €20 brush, or should you buy a cheaper brush and then change it? That is something that you need to think for yourself, right? But yeah, that's some nicer ones, right? So let's see. And this is the first layer, right? Like I said, I'm going to do some more stuff like purples and more blue here and there, you know. I will make it more standing out. Okay, so now you guys, you can ask me anything, you know, like you don't have to be very quiet, or unless you are actually painting while I'm painting. In that case, please don't get bothered with me. But you can ask more stuff about colors and stuff. What do you want to know? What interesting stuff you have thought of? Hope you don't want to know what my favorite color is, because that's going to be very difficult. Ooh. Well, yeah, I got, it's so funny. I started doing some reels on Instagram today, and I made a reel with Happy, because he was very fun. Happy, he was sitting in a box. We had the box from a delivery. Actually, it was a spare delivery. Hey, have to pet did here. Guess I'm busy. Ah, okay. So one of my cats did. I don't know if you are hearing it in the beginning. She likes to sit around, and she wants to get pets always. So she sits on my husband's desk, and he's constantly petting her, and she's purring like crazy. She has this, you know, these hours where she's just like, I just want to get petted, and she's making quite a lot of fuss if she doesn't get the pets. So that's why. My other cat is sleeping under the cat tower. Under there's a basket, and he's sleeping for now. If he wakes up during the live stream, then that would be cool. But he was, for some reason, he was pretty tired. I think he was just running around the whole day today, and that kind of tires him. He has this what we call zoomies. Like, he has some days in a week where he just goes crazy. He runs around, he goes into every garbage bin. He's just toppling everything. I don't know, he's just crazy, acting like crazy. And then all of a sudden he gets super tired, and then he has days where he's not doing that. He's like a very sweet boy. So I don't know if your cat does the same, but our cat is just acting like that randomly. Okay. Okay, and now let's go to some darker things. I'm going to use this permanent green. Okay. I mean, permanent green is also a green that is done with blue. So I'm just bringing it in because it's kind of a similar color family, you know. So certain ones needs to be having more green, and I'm gonna add some more blue in other parts. So this is how we're gonna make the colors. So permanent green here and there, and blue here and there, and then purple at the end. It's gonna be in the tips especially. Okay. Okay. What else has happened? So Sunday we had the live stream, which was with a really nice flowers. So thank you everybody that joined that live stream. There was with the peonies. That was really nice. I really like how they turned out. I always like peonies, but you know, if I could draw in color in galaxies all day and peonies, that would be super cool. But unfortunately, you have to keep it more interesting. So you have to go like, oh, okay, I'll be more interesting next time. So I decided today, succulents. Why not? Why not do succulents, man? It's always like that. By the way, I used to have succulents, and that's why I like them, and that's why I'm always happy with them. I used to have a lot, which is maybe not telling you much, but I used to have a lot of them, and I used to really enjoy taking care of them. But since I have pets right now, doesn't really work anymore, succulents, because they tend to just munch on them, and I'm afraid that they get sick. So I kind of throw them all away. I only have fake plants nowadays, so but I really miss my succulents. They were really nice plants, and they don't require much upkeep. I mean, other than giving enough water. The funny part is sometimes you can go wrong if you give them even too much water, which you shouldn't. So yeah, that was like some of the things that you learn when you're having succulents, that sometimes they die if you give them too much water. So usually it was like once a week you could water them, and that was enough. By the way, I put my fingers in the... Why do I keep putting my fingers where I shouldn't? In the greens. Okay. Yep. So doing this flower. By the way, tonight we're gonna watch Loki again. I'm really enjoying the series. It's really frustrating that, you know, it's only one episode a week. I like to binge watch every week. I don't know why. I'm like, I want to see everything, and I don't want to wait for a week for it to come. It's so frustrating sometimes. Yeah, but I really like the Loki series, and it really has some things that you go like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting those characters to behave like that. Or initially you thought, oh, I can predict where this is gonna go, but now I'm like, no, not anymore. You know, there was a cliffhanger last time, and everybody was like, what? So now there's a new episode coming out. So after this stream, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch some Loki. I don't know if you guys watch it as well, but yeah, it's one of my nice series that I'm watching lately. So that's nice. Okay, let's actually do some blue on certain ones. Let's see how that goes. Right, let's see if that works. Just making it more blue. It's working, it's working. I don't think I've seen a succulent with that much blue, but they do exist. I saw pictures of it, I think, but not in real life. In real life, my succulents usually had this kind of color or like really dark green. So, you know, that was like usually what I was seeing. So, not a lot of these fancy colors, but I'm also, what I heard also is that usually those fancy color succulents also cost you a lot. So, yeah, I only bought mine from like the supermarket or something like that. So I wasn't really putting that much money into them. They can grow quite big though, so if you're not careful, you need to cut them. You need to take care of them. And they're really nice, fancy flowers to have around. Sometimes they have flowers like this, and it's really nice when they go and they have a flower. They can have really fancy colors then, but usually once they do flowers, they very rarely survive. So it's like, as long as they don't make any flowers, they're okay, but then once they've made the flowers, then they're not gonna survive for a very long time. So yeah, something to keep in mind whenever you have them. And now I actually want to come with purple, and I'm wondering which purple should I use. Should I use the purple here? Maybe the Perlin Violet. You notice that the violets and the potas pink and so on are some of my most used colors, and then the oranges. The orange comes next, so I always use a lot of violet. Yeah. I'm just putting on the tip, and I'm gonna come with the brush and spread it around. This violet can be, so it's called Perlin Violet, and it can be quite strong, but it's nice. I like it. Right? It gives a different state of the flower. Because it's so strong, you can just layer it on top of the other ones. Right? Okay, nice. I'm going to do that for every tip. I'm gonna add this violet on every tip, and then I'm going to spread it around. And this is what happens a lot of time with succulents, like the tips are violet, and it's really nice. Yeah. That's what's happening here. Okay. I am shutting up because these tips are so delicate. I have to really concentrate when I'm doing them, right? So if you don't hear me say a lot while I'm doing the tips of these ones, it's because I really don't want to go over the lines, and I really need to concentrate. So the less concentration I have on talking, the better. So I can actually spread the color very good around. Okay, I think this has a nice touch, and I'll add some of this violet here and here, and spread it around on this stem. And a lot of times this is how you get the flowers on the succulents. They grow this very long stem, and then on the top is going to be a flower, and then once they're in that stage, it's very hard to recover them to because it looks like the flower is the last step that they have into growing. Okay, I'm thinking I need to add a little bit more reds in certain areas because it's really too less. So let's spread this red around, but not too much. I'm just adding water to the margin and pulling the color around. Oh yeah, on all the World of Warcraft, there's a new expansion coming. It's called Chains of Domination. I don't know if you guys play World of Warcraft, but I used to play a lot when I was younger. That's how I actually met my husband, playing World of Warcraft, which is very funny. We're both gamers, and now we have a new expansion, so I'm considering. But in the same time, something that I haven't said it last time, and maybe should be said it, is that I also started learning for my driver's license. And I know, weird for people, like, doesn't Claudia have already a driver's license? No, I never had a driver's license because I never needed one, but now I've decided to just do it. So I started studying. So if you're wondering why I'm always so sometimes quite tired, it's because I'm actually also studying for that, for the exam. And that coupled with all the work, then it's quite an interesting debacle. Okay, so far these are the succulents, right? And now I have to decide the pots, right? What do I want to do with the pots, and do I want to do something fancy or not, or you know, how we're gonna do them. What do you guys think? What color should the pots be? I was actually thinking making some nice gradients like that, and some darker purple, maybe. Maybe this one I should bring some of the blue with purple here and make it like. Okay, let's try this. Now this is where you try to do wet and wet, okay? Pay attention, I'm going to mess it up for sure. But I'm wetting the surface, and you might not see it right now, but I'm adding just water. And then we're gonna add some of this one, but I'm gonna add way more blue into it. I'm gonna do it more blue. I'm gonna see what happens if I'm adding this stuff here. It should spread around, right? It should follow the water and it should spread around. And I'm just adding, you know. I'm adding this like this. And then I'm just spreading it around. So it's gonna be much more faded towards the down part. Right? So I'm just pulling the color and making it fade down. Avoiding like harsh edges by pulling really the color down and trying to equalize everything. I don't like harsh edges anywhere, so that's why I like to do this. And then I'm maybe going to come with some different colors, like the same purples. And let's see if I pull this color down, how this is gonna look like. It's gonna be blue-ish with purplish here. And it's a nice gradient in a nice color combo. Once it's dry, I'm going to do another layer like this here and do the exact same thing. And then up, I'm just going to do a little bit of gray, right? So this is how these things go. And let me see. This almost looks like cobalt blue because it's a combination, right? So you know, it looks like a galaxy kind of, technically, if you think about it. Yep, that's really nice. And the other one, let's see. Maybe I'll do some perylene or some alizarin crimson red, and I'm going to do some layers like this. Right, I'm going to go into layers. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll take my other very used palette and think what colors I will use from there. But you guys can give me ideas. I want to add afterwards detail with gold everywhere and so on. So you know, I'm going to add gold details and all sorts of different things, and dots and black dots and so on. So I'm thinking if I did this one with blue and so on, this one needs to be with more red and purple. So let's see how I get that one. I'm gonna use this red, which is autumn. It's actually called autumn brown, which is very funny, but it's a very muted red. So and I'm gonna pull the color down, and I'm gonna do multiple layers, and it's going to have also some purple in there. So this is the Graphitint palette, and Graphitint is really nice. It's really muted colors, right? So that's what I'm noticing. And then in here, I'm gonna use this Port. Port is a really nice purple, and I'm gonna use it on the bottom. And I'm gonna pull the colors together, and then I'm gonna do a second layer. So it's gonna look like waves and stuff. So you know, I should have maybe researched a bit, but you know, I wanted to do kind of a dipped look, how do you say, deep dye look on things. So that's why I'm doing this. It's gonna look nice. Okay. Okay, that's a first layer there. And then I'm gonna see if this one dried out. No, this one didn't dry out. We can actually talk now while we wait for it to dry. I'm gonna have a sip of color because yeah, it's really nice. This one brings this one into, and then we're gonna do a very similar exercise. Okay, you can see that it's not yet totally dry, so I shouldn't have done that. I just need to wait until it's actually dry. Man. Have patience, Claudia, patience. Patience is something that you need to have when you're doing like watercolors and stuff. And I don't have that patience, to be honest. For some reason, sometimes I can't be bothered to wait for things to dry. So, you know. I'm trying here to add some color and to see how that looks like, and I'm adding actually some blue on top of this red. The funny part is if you would add blue on top of red, usually it just makes a really weird violet color, but because it's graphite tint, it doesn't react like that, so it actually looks really nice. Once everything is dry, we're gonna do some different colors up here, a little bit of gradient and so on, and some more maybe brownish there. Okay, now maybe just maybe, thinking out loud, what color should the back be? It could be like the sun, so we could make it yellow, right? And I would say, why not? Let's try it. Which yellow should I use actually? Should I use the graphite tint yellow, or should I use, yeah, let's use the graphite tint yellow, because it's gonna give us a really darkish color, so that's gonna be nice. And then yeah, really using it, and this time we give time to this one to dry out, so we're gonna do nice here with this really nice dark yellow, and you can see how dark it is and how nice it is. And this is what the beauty of the graphite tint is, because it has this graphite in it, and it can really get dark, and then we can make it look like a sun in the back. It's really nice. And I can spread this color pretty far. I don't have to worry about it. You can go pretty far with it, and then add some more water, and then spread it some more. I don't need it to be super dark everywhere, and I'm going to add a little bit of red in it just to keep some interest, right? And then it's okay. You notice I don't need a big brush. I don't need a big brush to make this happen. You can do it with a number 4. This is what I was saying in the beginning. Just have a number 4 brush, and you'll be fine majority of the time. So, you know, don't worry. Going to add some reds here and there, just to make things a bit more interesting. Like just yellow will be maybe a bit weird, right? And if you add a bit of reds, it's gonna look nice. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna add some more red in upper part, and then I'm gonna do this part. Yep. That's a nice background, I would say. Okay, that's good. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. And then by that time, oh, it's still not dry, this part. I'm really not daring to do anything because it's not yet dry, but we'll see. So I need the yellow. The yellow is called russet on the graphite tint part. I'm not sure what a russet is. Maybe I should have. I'm pretty sure it's a British term or something. that they are using. But yeah, by the way, this graphiting stuff even comes in just normal graphite pens, and they have the same colors, so you can use them as graphite pens as well. I have the ink kind of graphiting thing and the watercolor kind of graphiting, but they sell them in different forms, so you can decide what you're gonna use. I really like them because they have these muted colors, you know, so I like muted colors and I like stuff with black. I know, weird, but this is my favorite stuff. And this really looks like a moon in the back, but no, it's not a moon. I'm going to have to do some yellow in between these leaves just to compensate. And let's see how that goes. In the back here, I'm going to do a much more concentrated yellow so that the leaves don't get lost. But you know, this background is behind everything, so not behind this part, but behind these parts. So, you know, it's a good idea to actually utilize it like this. And then I'm going to add the red in the sides, so that kind of ties everything together. And that's gonna make it look really nice. I think I want some alizarin crimson on this flower because this is way too brown for the flower of the succulent. It needs to be more brighter. So I'm just using alizarin crimson to brighten things up. We're almost at it at an hour. I was actually thinking that I'm going to finish way earlier. For some reason, this takes quite some time, but it's probably because of the drying times that I'm having here, so yeah. This is gonna bleed, but it's still okay if it bleeds a little bit. It'll be fine. I'm getting weird colors here, and what happens is when you add too much water, you get these watercolor blooms. They happen way lesser when you have like really good watercolor paper. You don't have to worry about those ones, but you know, they still happen if you're not careful. So yeah. I'm making the second layer here, okay, of this stuff, and we're gonna go down. I'm gonna spread the water around. We're gonna spread the color and also mix it in with some other colors like purples and so on, right? But making sort of a gradient, some waviness things in there. And I'm adding some more blue to certain parts of it, okay? And that's nice. I'm going to add some dots and some different things here, so you know, don't get scared. Okay. And in here, let's see if we can do something interesting. I'm adding also some purple here and some waves, and see if I can spread it around. I'm just playing around, right? This is not... I'm not doing it like a piece for somebody or anything, right? I'm just trying to figure out what would work and what would doesn't. So that's why. And I'm already thinking that I should do some different things, different colorings. So I'm going to add some shadows here. For these cups. And I'm using the gray, the graphite gray from the set. And then I'm going to use really some gold to make it shine everywhere and give it a little bit of a different vibe. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Let's use some brown maybe here. This is the brown like of the earth underneath. And that's okay. Of the pot, you know, it's brown of the on the pot there. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Let me grab my pearlescent colors. By the way, I still have this very big puddle here. I cannot close this palette unless I clean it up. So, you know, I'm going to grab the paint with my brush and clean my palette because I don't want that to, you know, go everywhere. And then I'm going to go with some paper and absorb everything else that is there. I don't like a palette that is super dirty, so you know, this is how I clean it. How do you clean your palette? That's the question. I am having some wet tissues here, and this is how I'm gonna clean the palette. Yeah, that's the palette cleaning. And then I'm just gonna go with really detailed brush, and I'm gonna add really details with gold and, you know, lines and dots and stuff like that. So this is my Fintech Pearlescent colors. Don't know if you know them. This is the tiny set, and the tiny set only has 6 colors, but they're really done with mica powder and so on. So it's gonna look really nice. So the way I'm doing it, I'm getting a what's called a pipette, if I can find it actually. That will be much helpful. Where are my pipettes? Oh, here they are. I have a pipette, you see, here. And I grab some water, and I'm just putting some dots in the middle here. And you need to let them sit a little bit for the water to seep into it. And while we do that, I'm gonna see, oh, it got a bit out of focus, so I'm hoping now it's focusing again on this one. I want to add some black dots and all sorts of different things. So, you know, this is what I'm going to do. It's just some details while this one gets to work here. And this is my black PN pen. And I think these details are really going to make things pop. And I'm just adding some dots here and there, kind of like what you would do with stippling, right? But I'm not very good at that, but I'm good at making some dots and some stuff. I will add a little bit of interest to it, right? So it's not so plain anymore. And this is why I say always that the details make all the difference in this kind of pieces. You can do a lot of things with watercolors, but I think in order to make an illustrative style, you really need to add dots and different things, right? So this is what I'm doing. I'm really not even pressing a lot. I'm just letting the tip of the pen just touch the paper, and it will just leave very tiny dots, which are really nice in this one. So I'm going to do something very similar to these other leaves. And introduce lots of details and stuff. Do you hear the tum 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 tum? Yeah, that's just the tip of the brush touching. And I'm doing this exactly where the color is actually the strongest, or it has a different color scheme, right? I'm not doing these ones where there's actual highlights. This is what I wanted to say. Makes no sense. The same on this one. It's almost dry. Okay, let's do some on the flower. Usually maybe I add too much white gel pen, but this time I wanted to go with the black because it's gonna be okay. And then I'm gonna add also on the background some, the background maybe having a bit more. I'm adding them pretty randomly, right? So okay, that's gonna be nice. It's already elevated this one pretty a lot, and now we're just gonna do some really gold stuff. And I'm actually using my number 2 brush, okay, because I really want to make some gold lines. And I'm using this really rich gold here. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna do some lines that go on top of this, so you will notice I am following the what I did, the form that I did earlier. Okay, so I'm grabbing stuff and I'm very careful. That gives the effect that underneath the gold line it's gonna be very dark, so that's gonna give it a really nice effect. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same here on top. And this is how you add the highlights and so on. I did see some pots with really gold highlights as well, so they really actually do exist. So I'm gonna do a very similar thing here, and it's gonna elevate this to a really whole other level. It's gonna make it really nice. Maybe I added water to all the wells, but maybe I shouldn't have done that, but that's also okay, I think. I'm actually only using one of them, and I believe this is the Egyptian gold, but I might be wrong. Okay. Okay. Should I use maybe some of this champagne? I don't even know. This is a white, so I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it. Usually the gold is really stark against everything, but the white might actually be. I'm just adding them just so that it sparkles, and you might not be able to see it right now, the sparkling, not on screen, but I am seeing it in real life, and this is what I want because you know, it's a lot of times how it would look like in real life. I'm wondering if maybe I need to I might wanna do a line or some lines around here. Let me think. I don't want to add too much gold, right, to the whole stuff, but I do want to add some gold to the stuff. So this is a much nicer gold. I'm going to try to line this whole circle. So the way I do it is I put the finger down, right, and then I just drag the pencil around, right? So I'm using my hand to keep steady. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna keep steady, and I'm gonna line everything. So that's why it's always a good idea to do this only when things are dry, because you're gonna touch the paper with your finger, and I don't think you want to smear anything. Okay, so yeah, I just like to add gold details or white details to everything, so that's always nice. So normally you would move your entire hand, but I'm not that proficient. Like, there are some watercolor artists that they can move their entire hand with the pencil. They have really good control. To be honest, I don't have that good of a control. So that's why I use the finger as a stabilizer element, right? So depending on how good you are on this one, you know, you can do it all in one stroke, or, you know, add different things. Okay, this really makes it pop. At least in real life, it really makes it pop and really makes it nice. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Okay, let me do some extra here. I feel like it needs some extra stuff. This was a really simple painting, to be honest. Like, I believe these things anybody can do from this succulent stuff, and just got nuts with the leaves. It's really not, they're not very complicated leaves, right? So yeah, I'm adding some highlights here and there with some champagne. And it's not gonna be on every leaf, but on some of them, and you might not even see them unless you're really looking at it in real. really small dots, but in real it makes a really big difference because they're really gonna be super shiny, I would say. And then I'm adding also here shininess. This is what I'm looking for, shininess. Okay. If I would have all shiny things, I would do only shiny things. Let's see, I'll add some shininess to the rim of these ones. And here as well. Okay, I think I'm done for tonight. I think I've done my mandatory 1 hour, you know, mandatory 1 hour art a day kind of thing, right? I hope this inspires you to do these kind of things. They're not very, you don't always have to do complicated complicated stuff, right? You can always do just a very tiny composition, very tiny elements, and just have fun with it. Try different colors, try to see how you would do blue with green, or this kind of green with red. Try to see how you would do the pots, you know. Maybe you come up with better ideas. I mean, there's always better ideas than what I do, but yeah. Oh, thank you, Marlena. It says nice, very nice and gorgeous. Yeah, thank you. So far, this has been it for tonight. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Marlena, for joining, and thank you for everybody else that is online and watching me. I wish you guys lots of fun tonight, and I'm gonna go have some lucky time, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. And Sunday we're gonna do a more complicated one, and we're gonna do maybe a nice teapot, and maybe I'm going to incorporate some of the elements that I've done so far. Okay, so see you guys on Sunday.